Before I start my opening speech, let me say a few words to our dear guests, dear colleagues from abroad. First of all, I would like to say thank you for the response to our initiative. So many countries and so many institutions responded that, in fact, we've got a little problem with preparing our program for today. But due to the technology, we will be able to listen to all of the lectures, what makes me very happy. Of course, it's a pity that we cannot meet all together in person here in Warsaw, but we are living in such a strange times. For more than a year, we have to deal with this COVID-19 pandemic all over the world. But again, technology allows us to organize events despite all of this. So let's believe the technology doesn't disappoint us today. So once again, welcome all of you on this conference. I hope it will be very interesting time, not only for us here in Poland. Now I switch languages and start my opening speech. Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen, once again I would like to greet all of you, to welcome you. Cordial greetings and welcome to the guests here in the room and guests online. As I already said, the pandemic unfortunately forced us to organize this conference in a hybrid form. And the pandemic unfortunately has its harvest, and unfortunately Pietrzyk is not present with us, who is one of the organizers of this forum. I would like to say hello, to greet him very cordially, and I hope that he has joined this conference online, as well as Marta Muszyńska. I would like to thank all the employees and all the officers who were engaged in organizing this forum. As I have also already said in English, we were not able to put all the speeches today during our program, but fortunately the technology helps us, so all the speeches are already available online, so I'd like to invite you to hear to all of them. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a simultaneous interpreting here present, so this will make it easier to us to listen to all the speeches in both languages. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are meeting today in a very specific time. For over 1.5 years, there is a global pandemic. It has a lot of unpleasant consequences, but it also enforced and strengthens the awareness of certain cultural processes. Without a doubt, among all the phenomena that are very serious and very unpleasant, there is also this role that has been increasing, the role of the internet and digitization, who helps us sustain international and interpersonal relationships and to broaden culture. Without a doubt, today and in the future, we cannot test and research all the reactions to the pandemic without the access to secure internet resources. In the meantime, we know that those resources are very volatile, they change a lot, and we know that the social media in which we function, where we build our own biographies and where we retrieve news from, they very often publish content there that is used by the public people and public institutions, but this information is very often safeguarded by those social securities. That is why we need to deal with national legacy that is available on the internet. I personally believe that we have to always take into consideration the protection of the rights of individual people on the internet. This is not new, and this is not only in Polish that we believe that, because other foreign institutes of and other archives have already for 25 years around the world gathered archives of the content of the internet. Today we can see that there are guests here from abroad who have already gained experience in this respect, and they agreed to share with us their experiences. Thank you very much for that. We very often talk about the subject perspective of the state in digitization and in building archives. This is very important that the internet resources are there on the internet, are available, but also secure. It is very important for research activity, for the state activity, and for citizens' activities. State archives are modern institutions which catch up with technologies, and they also initiate a lot of activities and initiatives, which is, among other things, our forum. And we also initiate a professional discourse in this respect. I would like to stress very strongly that historical and legacy resources on the internet are also very important for us, are as important as paper documents, even though the securing methods and making sustainable are so different. So we have to think about it in disciplinary mode, and we have to derive knowledge from our experiences, our shared experiences. This forum is a very important stage that is needed for reopening of good, rational discussion and reconnaissance of our situation in the context of the Polish law and organizational issues. We would like to use foreign experiences in this respect, the experiences of the institutions that have already longest experience in archiving the resources of the internet. We also want to use the experiences of the Polish experts who know the legal provisions very well, and also the technologies. I am sure that this will help us build the resource of knowledge which will help us initiate the program of archiving the Polish internet contents. During our program, we would like to search for potential solutions that will help us carry out this initiative, also taking into account the financial aspects. I'm aware that we have to address detailed problems, starting with indicating where Polish content is localized on the internet, how we have to describe it, and how we can make it available, ending with securing technical and technological infrastructure and introducing acceptable changes in the law. A lot of those problems will be addressed during our speeches today. I really count on that. And thanks to that, we will be able to answer the critical questions concerning archiving the contents of the internet in Poland. I'd also like to stress that this meeting is not a platform for making binding decisions. This is a time for open discussion, and I would like to invite you all to take part in this discussion. I would also like to stress, last but not least, that state archives in Poland and the National Library and a lot of state initiatives, they are engaged in activities aimed at securing the internet content. For the public administration, for libraries or cultural institutes, the internet is not a foe, but it is a friend which helps us accomplish our missions. We are happy that we can represent the institutions that are creating the future while working very hard in the present. And the forum and our engagement in this discussion is one of the examples and proofs of it. I strongly believe that we can make the legacy of the resources of internet available and secure at the same time. I hope that we will be able to cope with all the problems that are connected with that, and that we will establish a real state archive of the internet contents. And I wish you fruitful discussions. Thank you very much.
Szanowni Państwo, zgodnie
Ladies and gentlemen, in accordance with our agenda, I would like to ask to the floor Józef Orzeł, who is chairman of the Digitization Council. The floor is yours. Thank you very much for the invitation. What I would like to ask, in a nutshell, because I only have 4 minutes and 50 seconds, I can see it on the clock. So, first of all, the project of archiving the internet contents is a huge project, a long-lasting project. It is also political. So first, we have to ask what purposes of this project may be, and I hope that the speeches of our foreign guests will help the Polish experts to work on such a proposition. Certain things appear to be certain. I mean that archiving of public resources, all the more so the public administration is here concerned, should serve the purposes of this administration and its legal successors in the future. And secondly, of course, it should serve all Poles, all the citizens as the users of the internet, as well as the clients of the public administration, but also businesses, NGOs, and all other stakeholders who take part in public life. Of course, there are some problems. And first of all, we need to take into consideration the stakeholders in other countries, abroad, but also the business which would like to get to know legal regulations, updated regulations which have adequate format, and not only of business nature like Lexis, but also sets of legal regulations which can be reliable. It should also serve to all other foreign stakeholders who are interested in our country. But we also have to take into consideration European regulations. For example, there is a very important regulation reuse, which allows us to use for the business purposes public data, and in particular the public administration data, and it also allows us to do business for the foreign actors and the Polish actors. This already shows you what the important items there are, apart from legal regulations. But what I mean is that methodology. So how should we do it? How should we prepare such archives so that it is interoperable? And also in the third domain, in technology. If this is solved, then another question appears. Is it exhaustive? Is it sufficient? So are those all the purposes of this program? because we should take into consideration not only the use and not only familiarizing ourselves with the data. We have to sustain this data. We have to make it up to date for the use of the businesses, but also for the use of the culture and private interest. Due to that fact, this project, if it is successful, if we can carry out it and accomplish, then we have to answer the question, who will be responsible for that? Of course, what has already been said, we will need some changes to the law, not only to the Act on the Archives, but also in other laws. But also we have to think about who will do that, actually, because the director also mentioned other institutions that deal with it. For example, the General Digital Archive. So I hope, and the Council, the Digitization Council hopes, that what will be proposed today will provide material for building a legislative framework. And for sure, our council, Digitization Council, will be happy to help you with that. Thank you.